G'day, Jackson here. Welcome back to Daily Endeavours for Saturday the 23rd of August. So as always, timecodes will be in the description if you just want to fast forward to something. You know how it is. The golden vendor's up, that'll be at the end of the video. You can also skip to that too if you want to read through. So this set, it's okay. Everything here is pretty good. Everything's base game, everything's pretty chill. Personally, I would choose Enchanting, Dining Room, and Veins of Ore or Watery Foes. But yeah, I still don't think there's anything wrong with doing Tel Var, but I personally just don't really like this one myself. But yeah, so I'll go through everything. I'll try and make this nice and quick. So enchanting equipment, you can either buy some glyphs and enchant them on an item, or create some glyphs yourself using runes on an item. Regardless, I think it's best to just steal an item. But the only issue with that is, actually no, there's no issue. Overthinking it. So firstly, we want to grab an item. In my opinion, it depends on what you're going to do. If you're going to craft runes yourself, you want to make sure you get the item that coincides with the runes that you're going to use. Because, for example, if you want to make a weapon glyph, there's certain green runes that you want to use, and armor glyphs, it's the same thing. There's like certain green runes you need to use there. But if you just want to buy some glyphs, which I'd prefer to do because it's just quicker, you can open up the store for enchanters in the game. You can find enchanters in every major city. They sell glyphs like this. So the high level ones are very expensive. If you want to like soften the blow on the cost of these, you can jump onto like a low level character, buy some really cheap glyphs. They're like much cheaper, and you can just use that instead. But yeah, it's 500 gold is not that bad, I think, considering that the rest of it you can just get yourself. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to buy a flame and a frost glyph. Don't buy the same one because you can't enchant the same thing onto an item twice. So just make sure you get two different things. So now we just want to go upstairs, and there'll be some items here that we want to grab as soon as our character can go invisible. Just like that. We'll grab that Inferno Staff. And that means instead of creating an item using our own resources or buying something, we can just, or going out to get it, we can just take it from these people here, just borrow it for a sec and put these glyphs on. So yeah, that's why you want to use two glyphs there, because if we use the same one, you wouldn't be able to use it twice. Creating your own glyphs, you need three things. You need a potency rune, the blue square ones. You need an essence rune, the green triangle ones, and then the circle of brown ones, the aspect runes. So potency, the good thing about these is, just like you can get the glyphs from enchanters, you can also get all of the blue runes available. The ones you'll be able to use from level 1 are Jode and Jorah. These are the ones you definitely want to use. Because even at the issue I was considering before, you can use like the lowest level glyphs on like a really high level item, so don't worry too much about like that stuff. So if you're going to do this, don't use things that are used in Writs, Oko, Denny, and Mako. Don't use anything that's like really often used in like high-end content or like meta build. Rakepa, for example, fire. Putting this on flame glyphs is like the thing that everybody does, so that's why these are usually so expensive. I think Oru is probably one of the best, because these are they're potion glyphs, which are pretty much never used. So yeah, usually Oru is one that is just all over the place, cheap on guild stores. But yeah, just find anything that like isn't ridiculously expensive. Anything you can get for like 10 gold a rune is really good value, I think. And then aspect runes, you only really want to use Jajota, because Tar is actually used in Writs, so these are more expensive than Jajota. Jajota you can use at level 1, so my opinion, just find as many Jajota as you can get, and just buy a massive stack, and then you've sorted for a while, pretty much. The other method for getting your hands on some runes for glyphs is just looting some rune stones. So for example, we just got Deteri and Jajota there, so both of these could be used to make a glyph. We don't have the blue one, but as I showed you before, you can just go to an enchanter and get them there yourself. Okay, moving on now, dining room furnishings. One of the most annoying ones to start off, because there's no real easy dining room furnishings, no cheap ones. So firstly, free house, you want to go to this location here, just northwest of the Vocal Garden Way Shrine. The Way Shrine Vocal Guard. This house right here, there'll be a NPC pretty much right here that you can speak to. this is what she looks like. She'll have a quest, just talk to her, that completes the quest, it'll give you a house for free. The house you get depends on your alliance, so if you go into the map tab, into houses here, you look through your collected section, you'll either have Mara's Kiss, Rosie Lion, or you'll have Emily Flask in room. It just depends on what alliance you do the quest on. You can get all three if you do the quest 3 times on 3 different alliance characters. I suggest doing that because they're all quite helpful in their own ways. Alright, now now it's the hard parts, trying to get our hands on a dining furnishing. So firstly, if you have a large house already, you might have a dining room furnishing in there. If you suspect that, just skip to the part where I go straight to the house, because I'll show you how to first look for dining furnishings. But yeah, there's only 2 real ways I suggest doing this. Actually, there's 3. Sorry, I'll go through 3. So one is to go through guild stores and look for anything that comes under 4 categories, basically. So chair, a lot of stuff with the word chair in it is a dining furnishing of some kind, like these Dark Elf chairs, for example. The only problem is the price. A lot of these are fucking expensive, and you're going to be forking out a lot just to get one of these quickly. You can get some decent deals sometimes, but yeah, you can see all these fucking Colovian chairs here. They're not good options. Okay, that's better, I suppose. But yeah, so chairs, there's tables. Some of them are hearth, but some of them are dining. So this Nord table's a dining one. But again, super expensive, so not a great option. There's also... what are the other 2? The counters as well, count as dining furnishings. But yeah, anything like this, just make sure you check at the top left of the description. It says furnishing and then dining. As long as that second word says dining, you're good. Just find whatever cheap item that you can find. The only problem is, yeah, like I said, not many cheap items to find. And then the other one is bench. So look up these 2. So Khajiit bench, there you go, another dining furnishing. That's the item I ended up getting, like a bench for like 2k. But yeah, it's not very common to find anything that's not going to fucking... that you're going to be able to financially recover from. Yeah, rough. Okay, so let me go through the other 2 options. One is to go to a carpenter, like Bella Drethan over here. Again, just like Enchanters, every city has a carpenter of some kind somewhere. So open up the inventory with the carpenter. Now this blueprint here, common table slanted, this can be used at level 1, and this is a dining furnishing. So crafting one of these, putting it in your house, that is enough to get this endeavor done. The main issue is going to be the heartwood. The pitch is usually easy to get your hands on. Deconstruct some stuff in woodworking, get yourself a lumberjack hireling. Over time you'll get some pitch, and you'll be able to buy it pretty cheap from guild stores anyway. The nickel is easy to get too, because you can just buy this from carpenters. They always sell them in infinite sources. The biggest problem is going to be the heartwood. This is not a cheap resource. But you just need 2. Once you got the heartwood, you're pretty much ready to go. You can craft this, and yeah, you'll be good. The problem that I have with heartwood, though, is if you try and buy this stuff on guild stores, a lot of the time, heartwood is going to... They sell in massive stacks of 100 or 200. Heartless. Fuck. Are you thinking of Kingdom Hearts or something? Right, so finishing material, yeah, heartwood. So you can see people sell them in massive stacks, and they are fucking expensive per item. So again, you might as well buy a bloody finishing item at this point. That's like worth 10k or something, because that'll be cheaper. But yeah, very rarely you might go into a store and find like a stack of like 1 or 2 heartwood, and in that case you might get lucky. But in most cases, yeah, you're just gonna find really bad deals. Not really bad deals, just way too many for it to be worth it. So first thing, to check if you do already have one, go to the housing editor key at the bottom right there, just hit whatever that is. At the bottom middle it says browse, hit that. Now in the housing menu, go to retrieve, and you can see down here we've got a dining furnishing, and we've also got this common table. So this is what you craft when you buy that blueprint and craft the item, so you can use that too. So yeah, the Eleanor table here, brown marble, this comes with the Steve Bloom Villa house that you can buy with for like $10 or something on the ESO store. So this is what I usually use. Now there's 2 ways you can do this. You can either, if it's regardless of which way you do it, the main strategy for this is undo redo, because if you pick up an item that's already here and you just place it on the ground, it doesn't count for the endeavor for placing furnishings. It has to come from your inventory first. So what that means is you can either put it away and bring it out, or I mean, yeah, like if it's in your inventory because you've just made it, you could also put it on the ground from your inventory and then undo redo. Basically, any way you do this, you're just going to undo redo in order to just do it quicker. So what I'm going to do is pick this up, put it away, and then on the bottom left, you'll see it says undo. I know it says it twice. I think one of those is an add-on. I don't know which one it is, but yeah. So just hit Z to undo, and that, as you can see here, actually counts for doing the dining room furnishing. So whether you place it or you pick it up and put it away, just go back to the main housing menu here and just hit undo, redo. Redo, undo there. And that counts. So anytime this comes up, just put it in your inventory somehow and use undo, redo. And that way you can do this pretty quick. So my method here is usually to just have one of each housing item in like a small area. And anytime this endeavor comes up, I just come up, grab the item in question, put it away, undo, redo, spam. Now, the vault that you get from ESO Plus, I don't have it, so I wouldn't be able to show you. But those items, you can take them from the vault and put them down and undo, redo the same thing. So if you only have like the little tiny houses and you just want a convenient way to keep the items in like a storage, you can also do that. But I think it requires ESO Plus. I haven't got it, so I can't really check. But yeah, you could try and use that too. Oh, sorry. One more thing before I go. There is one other thing you can do, but it requires you to have crowns. Not many, but it does require. In any case, I suggest avoiding using crowns to buy stuff. But if you're like super desperate, you want those 15 seals, it's like you must have them. Let me show you something you can do. So this here, this Argonian chair rough, this is the cheapest item that you can buy on the purchase section. That counts as a dining furnishing. But like I said, if you can use gold for this stuff, I would advise that you do so, because yeah, I think gold is much more expendable than crowns are. Okay, blacksmithing ore nodes. So firstly, if you do want to look for some glyphs, runes to make glyphs for this, you can also do these these both at the same time. Because yeah, you basically, when you're looking out for blacksmithing ores, you'll also basically be in the same place you're looking for runestones. So yeah, try and do these two at the same time, I suppose. I should have mentioned that before. Anyway, so before you get into looking for blacksmithing ores, I think it's important to understand what spawns, because if you know what you're looking for, I find it goes a lot more smoothly. So there's two things that affect your what spawns for blacksmithing ores for your characters. It's a 50-50 split between your blacksmithing metalworking passive and your level. So if you scroll over the metalworking passive, it tells you one of the 50% for that of what spawns. So in this case, I get rubidite, and then max level also gives you rubidite. So what I'll do is I'll link this in the description. You can have a look if you want. Your character's level, which things spawn depending on your level, is shown here. So for example, if I was on a character with metalworking 1 out of 10, but I was level 30, I would get orichalk ore and iron ore. So, because 50-50 between both. And what you can do is you can either go... oh, they don't have them linked here. You can go here and put your cursor over these, and it'll give you an image of what the node looks like. That is what every single iron ore node specifically looks like. Once you know what one looks like, you know what they all look like. It'll be much easier for you to find them, because you know exactly what they look like. Because sometimes, especially like these ones here, they can blend in with the surroundings very easily. If you've got a character who has max level blacksmithing, please, I advise you do it, or at least a max level character, because rubidite is like so much easier to spot in the distance. It's way easier than anything else. Voidstone's not too bad either, but like even then, sometimes that can blend in quite well. Yeah. So Jury or platinum, not platinum, Jury dust or Jury seams, these spawn in the same locations as blacksmithing ores, but they don't count as them for the sake of the endeavor. So I think it's still worth getting them because Jewelry ores are fucking ridiculously expensive still. But yeah, it will slow your progress down. Unfortunately, they literally share the exact same spawns. So I don't know what the... I don't know if they have like a higher or lower chance though of spawning. Yeah, basically, anywhere you find a jewelry node, you'll also be able to find a blacksmithing node later. But there's another jewelry node there. If you want to know what's causing me to loot them quicker, Master Gatherer, this drops the harvesting time by half. Plentiful Harvest is also really good to have too, because it increases the yield sometimes. Fucking mandatory basically for surveys, because surveys being a one-time thing, or like a single use, you want to maximize as much as you get from those, because that means you can basically do writs without... like, you can kind of do writs with just the stuff you get from the survey materials. There's another jewelry node. Yeah, we'll keep going. There's another one. The rubidite. Oh, okay. Yeah. So it's a bit risky harvesting nodes around enemies, because sometimes other people can come through and like nab it while you're attacking them. Because once you're in combat with like enemies, they will usually just ignore someone else. So yeah, sometimes just people... It is something that people do. They just like steal the resource nodes while you're trying to look for them. Yeah, just don't take it to heart. What you can try and do, if people are like, if they're going for it, you can, if they get hit by an AoE, it pushes, or it pulls them into combat as well, and they can't loot the item. So if you want to basically defend your nodes that you're trying to grab from, like, with enemies in the way, just make sure you basically sit on the node, because one, the enemies will be in the way, so they might not be able to, like, visually interact with it, and two, the AoEs will usually just get them in trouble. But yeah, like, single target attacks don't really do that. But yeah, I just wouldn't really worry too much about that. Like, it's kind of... It's not worth worrying. It's not worth fucking going on a vengeance campaign for that shit. If you want to know what this add-on is that shows you all the blacksmithing ores on the map, this is Harvest Map. So I'll link this in the description as well. If you want to take a screenshot of this or the node locations in Craglorn, go ahead as well. But yeah, the only reason I use Craglorn instead of other zones is Craglorn gives you specific trait items. Let's see if I have any. Oh, I do. So you get Fortified Nocrox and Potent Nocrox. Potent especially is really good, the Blood Cocaine. This stuff sells for a lot and is used in Nirnhund for weapons, which is a really good trait. It's like one of the... I find this to be like one of the most well-rounded traits for like dual wield through here. But if it's like too busy, you can just use any zone in the game. Like every zone has like tons of ore locations. Basically just spawn at a wayshrine, travel in a straight line, and like look for little crevices on the side of rocks and stuff. That's usually where they'll be located. Also, if you're really struggling, you can also get the Keen Eye Ore passive here. It will make all nodes glow when you get close enough to them. But yeah, I don't think it's super important. Because, yeah, like after a bit of experience, like you'll just start to know exactly what they look like once you get close to them. Okay, now up to Watery Foes. I only really bother with Wisps myself because Neries and, quote, other Watery Foes, I don't know of any other ones. There's only like Water Atronach or anything. So yeah, just Wisps. There's 3 locations. Easiest to reach, but usually the one that's like most busy, is Crowswood here, the public dungeon. So this wayshrine that you start with in Davon's Watch in Stonefalls, yeah, like it's very easy to reach here. So basically, just go to the Fighters Guild over here. Just turn around, go over the wall over here. And then when you pretty much see it on the compass there, just jump down here. And then make your way down. Just be careful of the fall damage on your way down. So instead of going over the bridge when you first get in here, when you go to the portal, turn left and go through this water here. The Wisps are found over here. Now there is a Wisp Mother public dungeon boss, but she's usually dead when I come through here. Oh, she's alive. What about that? Now the main area to get your Wisps is this area here. So you've got the swamp basically, just to the west of the starting portal. They're right here. So this area has shit tons of wisps. All these here count as Watery Foes. Usually I find people come through here, but yeah, it looks like I am on a very weird time for America. It's usually when everybody's asleep. But yeah, there's like 20 of these things in here, so this is a really good place. That's usually what I suggest. Alright, option number 2 is found in Greenshade. It is the Root Watchtower, which is found here. This is the Hispark step crafting location. Now, getting here for the first time, there's no way shrines that you start with nearby, so my advice is to look up the house Boulder Tree Refuge and Home Tours. So we'll go here, Browse Homes, go down to B, Boulder Tree Refuge. Just travel to one of these. It does not matter which one you travel to. It's all free travel. And when you get there, you just go out the front door. It will take you to Greenshade. Not right next to Root Watchtower, but it'll get you pretty close. And from there, you unlock the way shrine next to it, and then you'll have access to Forever On. Here we are, turn around, back out, and we're in Greenshade now. Alright, here we are, Serpent's Grotto Way Shrine. From here, it's just a little bit to the east, and this is the section where you get some wisps. So there's some here, and these wisp nests are great. Usually they're, if you destroy one of these things, like loot it, because I'm pretty sure that makes it spawn a little bit quicker. Can't tell you for sure though. I don't know. I haven't been here long enough to know. Ooh, Citric Portal. For this one, instead of Boulder Tree Refuge, we're looking for H. We're looking for Hackfield's High Hall. So travel to this one. What's that? It's so too big. Alright, so from here, it's just a little bit northwest. We are headed to Chisel Shriek Mine, just here. Now, getting to these wisps is a bit of a pain, but I find this to be like the one that nobody ever goes to. So that means, like, because these are all overland areas, other people kill them, you have to wait for them to respawn. It can take some time. With this one, because there's like lots of tough enemies in the way, usually people don't bother with these. So yeah, anytime I want to do this one, this is the one I pick. Okay, so it doesn't matter really which way you go, either this way or this way, there's going to be lots of enemies. So if you don't have cloak or invisibility while sprinting, just run and just keep healing yourself. Get out of their aggro range or just let them kill you and they'll all just go away. But these are the wisp options here. So you got that wisp nest. You got a wisp nest over... where is it? There's another one somewhere nearby. There's a wisp mother who also has a bunch of wisps on her own. Anytime you fight a wisp mother, just make sure you deal damage to the wisp before you kill her, because it won't count otherwise. You actually have to damage them for it to count, even if you kill the thing that spawns them. But yeah, she spawns a lot. Okay, starting off your Tel Var adventures, you need to go to the Alliance War tab, L by default on keyboard, Imperial City, right click, enter campaign. Hello cat. So, which campaign that you enter depends. Usually Imperial City champion points active is a little bit more busy, but yeah, no CP is like, you do a little bit more, less damage basically, and it takes longer. But this is the one that usually there's less people, so I like to use this one myself. Because the less people, the better chances you have of finding stuff to kill. And yeah, the less like crazy Wild West cowboy players that you find. Oh, cat is all over the place. Come into this room here. There's always a ladder room in the safe haven when you get in. These lead to all 6 of the upper district. So what you can do is, so what I usually choose is the arena district. Where is this? I think it's this one. Yeah, this is the one I usually choose. Arena. You can kill the enemies, and they drop Tel Var. The amount of Tel Var they drop depends on a few things, so let me go through them. The bigger the target, by the way, as well, the more Tel Var that you get. So the Ogrims give you much more. So players will be down there as well. if you find players from hostile factions, they will attack you, usually. My advice, if you see a player with anything more than like 33,000 health, expect them to be an experienced PvPer and expect them to roll you over if you're not familiar with how PvP works. Because trust me, there are some people here that are fucking brutal. Alright, so there's a couple of things that can make this much faster. So if you... it's risky though, that's the thing. So firstly, withdraw Tel Var from your bank. So a maximum of 10,000 Tel Var gives you the highest Tel Var multiplier that your character can have, which is 4 times, visible at the bottom right of the screen here. So this means anything we kill gives us 4 times as much Tel Var. So yeah, 4 times faster. The other thing is districts. Every district that your faction owns, in this case we own 2, increases your Tel Var gain by 33%. So if your faction owns every single district, all 6, you get an extra 2 times. So that ends up being 6 times as many Tel Var, which is fucking crazy fast. The only problem is, if you hold Tel Var in your inventory like this, if you die, you lose half of it. And if a player kills you, they get half. So every player in Imperial City, basically, even though they might not know how much Tel Var you have, they basically see you as like a fucking nice slice of bacon, cooked, glazed in honey or whatever it is you Americans do, and they're just going to gobble you up straight away as soon as they see you, and not in a good way. The only way I would really suggest trying to do this with high Tel Var is staying too far away for players to actually attack you. In this case, what I like to do, for example, is I'll kill the enemies from atop the tower, get my Tel Var that way, and just get out of view before pretty much as soon as the enemy's dead. Because players can't actually come up here. These are like safe towers. The problem is, this thing's like a well. It's much easier to get down there, to get into Imperial City than out of it. Because once you go down there, the only way back up is to go through the sewers, and you have to go all the way back up to the towers, and it's a pain in the ass. What you can do instead, there's like a cheaty way to do it though. So, what you can do is go to Cyrodiil, enter campaign, and go into the safe areas in Cyrodiil, and that way it'll pull you straight out of the danger area in Imperial City, and immediately once you're in Cyrodiil, you can port straight back to Imperial City. It'll take you to the safe zone in Imperial City, so you can do that too. It's a bit cheaty, but, you know, ain't nobody got time for that shit. So you might notice in the tooltip for Tel Var, it says earning through event rewards. There are a couple of things here that I do suggest looking at. With the Pelennals event, Pelennal boxes can give you Tel Var, and these actually count for the Endeavor. So if you have tons of these lying around from when you did that event, this is the time to use them. So just go through. It's really laggy on EU, that's why it's so slow. Yeah, you can just do this instead. That's what I suggest. Now, the other thing is the... have I got one here? No. I think if you manage to somehow have some Zenithar coffers lying around still, they also can sometimes have Tel Var in them too. So that also works. The last thing is the quests for the Imperial City, like the daily quests. Each district has one. For example, there is one in Imperial Cities, the Arena District called Lifeblood of an Empire. This one here, you get this from this person here. So all the towers that you start off in these districts, they all have their own quests that you can grab. Now, I find this one to be the easiest, Arena, because all you have to do is like go and interact with some prisoners. There's one down there. So yeah, you can kill that, and then the prisoners run away, and that counts. And 12 of those is enough to get this quest done. Completing that quest gives you this, a Siege Master's Coffer. These contain 200 Tel Var Stones, which is all you need to complete this on this day. But yeah, I still think if you can get a range build with 10,000 Tel Var and kill them on the top of the tower, that's pretty good itself. But that's another way to do it, and you know, that's assuming you can find a server where like the enemies aren't fucking obliterating everyone in that district, then yeah, you can usually do that one just fine. Okay, taking a look at the Golden Vendor now. So the helms this weekend are Orpheon the Tactician and Slimecraw. So I feel a bit weird about Orpheon. It's a pretty good set. I think it's best paired with something, one of those like vacuum pull-in sets. For example, Dark Convergence, Rash of Agony, the Void Bash, what is it? Vadashan Swordboard set. Things that pull a bunch of enemies in. Because the AoE, 5-meter radius, that's not very big, but the damage is pretty good. So if you can stack everything together and get all the damage in one go, it's really good. The biggest problem I have with this though in PvE is that if you stun enemies with this set, they can't be pulled in. So you just want to... It's because effect on the ground abilities, there's like... Usually PvE builds will have one of these of some kind. You've got Stampede, Wall of Elements, you know, Nightblades of Twisting Path, for example, Necromancers have Boneyard. It's pretty, like, usually in your rotation you'll proc this naturally. So it can be kind of hard to make sure this doesn't fuck over the tanks. Because that's the biggest thing about tanks. They want to be pulling stuff in, like ranged enemies in the distance. If you accidentally proc them like this, and the enemies get stunned, they can't do that. So it can be kind of counterintuitive for tanks. Like you're kind of fucking over your supports by not being able to let them pull stuff in. But in PvP, I'd imagine it's okay. The 2 seconds might be too long. Like players are usually able to move around by then. But I imagine, you know, stacking up stuns and shit like that. Usually players are pretty good at doing stuff like that. Now that Rush of Agony is no longer like as obnoxious as it is, maybe it's not as good. But yeah, personally, I would avoid this one because they're just... I feel like there's better sets in many cases. But yeah, if you use this on a boss, I don't think it's too bad because yeah, 5k physical damage isn't too bad every 8 seconds. Yeah, probably wouldn't worry about this one. Slimecraw. So this is a base game monster set from Watery Foes 1 on Veteran. I do not suggest buying this either. Not because it's not a set I would recommend. I definitely recommend this set, but Watery Foes 1 is... everyone's got access to it, and it's one of the most basic veteran dungeons in the game. The final boss is actually surprisingly tough on solo, to like solo her, but that's mostly if you're just running like a typical damage dealer. If you're not, I'd say, yeah, just definitely do it with a group. But it's pretty simple with a group. Like it's very old content's outdated. Yeah, very easy to do. Slimecraw is a really good set. Really easy to use because it just buffs your damage by a bit. That's all it really does. Early on, you might see like old, especially on like Reddit and stuff like that, you might see old posts that talk about Slimecraw One Piece being really good. No longer the case. They they moved some of the critical chance from the One Piece to the 2-piece now. So yeah, don't use One Piece Slimecraw because it's not it's a decent One Piece, but it's no longer a better One Piece than any of the other crit One Pieces for monsters. But yeah, if you want to use this in solo play, it's really good. In group play, probably shouldn't use it at all. And even in solo play, there are some classes that get Minor Berserk. So let me find some examples. Yeah, of course I'm on one of the like 2 classes that doesn't have it naturally. But Nightblades have it on a skill. They have it on Ambush. Wardens have it just all the time with Bird of Prey. Combat Prayer, that's why I don't suggest it in anything group related, because healers are going to have Combat Prayer, which offers the same thing, and they offer to everybody. So that's usually what goes on in group play. Dark Exchange for Sorcerers, Spear Wall for Templars as well. So there's lots of them, and then there's sets as well. If you use Oaken Soul, it's provided to you naturally through Oaken Soul. If you use Kinra's, it's also offered through that, and it's offered to your group. Again, probably wouldn't use that anyway though, because most of the time you're using Kinra's in a group, and a healer will give you Minor Berserk. But yeah, another option there. And I think there's one more. Something stone. Yeah, here we go. So, Minor Berserk. Probably really don't feel like, because if you're healing people, you're probably using Combat Prayer anyway. And yeah, doing Earthen Root Enclave just for that seems silly. I don't know, maybe that just might be me. But you can restore magicka from that too. But yeah, you get the picture. Very, very easy to get your hands on sources of that. But for example, if you're using a Dragon Knight, they cannot get Minor Berserk naturally in solo play, so you can use Slimecraw to get it. But with subclassing, I suppose it's not as big a deal anymore anyway. But yeah, if you want Minor Berserk in solo play and you don't want to have to deal with like getting it in other ways, Slimecraw is actually really good. But yeah, again, wouldn't buy it here just because it's very easy to get this in base game. Duelimish. So when you heavy attack something you've taunted or that's been CC'd, basically, deals a bunch of damage. Its damage is pretty good for 4 seconds, but yeah, the bosses can't be CC'd, so it needs to be taunted. So you can't really. You can use it in PvP, I suppose, but you'd need to like set up your ganks properly, and yeah, I suppose you could use it on like an offensive tank, just like a fun build too. But yeah, I wouldn't really suggest it on anything else. But it's okay. I think it used to be the damage used to be way higher, so it was actually even better for ganking before. I think it was something like, it was over 10,000 damage it used to do, I think, but it was every 7 seconds. So yeah, I personally don't see a reason to use this though, because tanks usually go support stats, and damage deal is just most of them don't usually heavy attack much. Unless you're using a heavy attack build, in which case you're probably not going to be in melee range. And there's so many other sets that are easier to get anyway for that. Dead Waters. Now, originally, this gave you ultimate whenever an enemy you attacked died. And in that case, it was like one of the best trash pack fighting sets in the game. Now, much like with Slimecraw, it's a really good solo play set, because you're going to be the person killing everything in solo play anyway. But I don't know. Is it worth buying the Jurihir gold for this much gold? I don't think so, because the green quality Dead Waters gives you 14 ultimate still, up to purple. Only gold gives you an extra 1 ultimate. I don't think it's worth spending all that gold when you can just buy some fucking blue or green Juri and get like get 1 ultimate less. Like, oh, we will financially recover from this, actually, because we're not fucking spending over 100 grand on a single fucking gold ring. Yeah, it's a good set, but I'd personally just buy it on guild stores for way cheaper. Okay, Yorvalds. Now, there is an exception to be made for this one, because this is one of the most powerful healing sets in the game. Still is. It is used in a specific setup called, people refer to it as Rojo, R-O-J-O, because you use it with Roaring Opportunist. And what Roaring Opportunist does is I believe it gives you major... Is it Slayer, or is it... yeah, Major Slayer. So when you use an ultimate, you get Major Slayer, depending on your stats. Now, what Rojo does with this what Jorvalds does to this is it counts as a buff for that set. So Rojo basically increases the uptime on this by a significant amount. And this is like one of the best buffs you can get. It's just 10% more damage to stuff in PvE. So this combo is fucking good. If you don't have this dungeon though, you do have to consider, even if you buy these jewelry and you end up getting the necklace when it comes as well, you do still need 2 pieces of the set from other sources, and that means you're either going to have to wait for an ESO Plus event, free trial, or you're going to need to buy the DLC anyway. So in that case, the jewelry tends to be the one that I get before like the weapons, because if you want the best Yorvald setup, you want the weapons anyway. So I just think, in that case, because here's the thing, you also the 40% effect, like the increase, that is not affected by quality. I can prove that to you if I go to I've got a purple one in my inventory here, and you can see, even though it's purple, it's still 40%. I'm pretty sure even at green, I don't even think you can get green, but yeah, blue, purple, gold doesn't matter. It's always 40%. So I would suggest, if you really want to dedicate yourself to being like getting this kind of like good healing sets, probably going to have to fork out some money for that sort of thing, or get ESO Plus and just get the setup. Because you also got to remember, if you end up getting ESO Plus and you do this dungeon and you unlock those, if you no longer use ESO Plus and you don't buy this DLC, you can reconstruct the set anyway, and it means that you can still use the set even if you don't own the DLC. So yeah, worth mentioning, I think. But yeah, very, very good set. Probably one of the best support sets in the game, but mainly due to the way that it works alongside other buffs. Alright, the last one on this list is Marauder's Haste. I wanted to swap over to a character who I could just show you a couple of things with this set. So the 5-piece, increasing your movement speed by 20%. That is a buff that is not named. It's just like a unique on its own thing that you can stack with other things. So that's actually quite cool. The biggest problem though that I have is usually, especially like when if you establish yourself and get a lot of champion point, you usually hit the cap on movement speed, even with Cloak without a set like this. And it requires you to cast an ability. If you use Vampirism Sprint build, having to cast an ability to leave Sprint is kind of like defeats the purpose of the build. So in that case, I wouldn't use it. However, in the case for cloaking builds, if you don't have enough champion points to get yourself to maximum movement speed, you can use shields in Cloak. So I'm casting them here, right? So I've got two. I've got Annulment and I've got Bone Shield. So these are, one's a Stamina Shield, one's a Magicka Shield. So one, yeah, this one Light Armor, this one Undaunted. But yeah, you get the point. So you could use that set even in Cloak and stay invisible and get movement speed that isn't a named buff. And the reason that's important is because Adept Rider is Mage Expedition. On the other hand, there is another set called Coward's Gear. So you don't want to use these sets together because they give you the same buff. Marauder's Haste, on the other hand, that is a completely different buff that goes with anything else. So that's really good. That means you can just get the 20% movement speed bonus without having to worry about it if it's the same buff that something else uses. So that's really good. But yeah, having to apply a shield every 9 seconds. 9 seconds isn't too bad. But yeah, it's a bit taxing on your resources more than perhaps other setups are. It does give you some magical recovery though. That being said, if you're moving with Cloak, you're not getting any magical recovery anyway, so that's not great. But yeah, I think it's a cool set. Something that I actually don't think is shit, which I don't normally say for a lot of sets in this game. But yeah, it's very interesting and does actually work pretty well. The major roadblock though, the reason I wouldn't suggest the set too much, if you have a lot of champion points, you don't need the set because you can get yourself to max cloaking movement speed pretty much without needing to basically cast the shield every 9 seconds. So let's go through them. So in Cloak, you move at normal jogging speed. So whenever you just WASD, no sprinting, that's the speed that you move at in Cloak. Even without Vampirism, I thought it. When I made my Vampirism sprint build, I thought that Vampirism affected the Cloak speed, but it doesn't. So yeah, just normal movement speed. So you can add an extra 100% movement speed to that. Now, if you have Adept Rider, which I do suggest for sorry, it's over here. I do suggest this for a Cloak build because it works in Cloak, whereas Coward's Gear, the other source of Mage Expedition I usually use, that doesn't work. You have to sprint, and you can't cloak while sprinting. I also use Conceal Weapon, so immediately we're up to 45% just from those two alone. Then you go to Champion Points. You've got Steed's Blessing over here, that's another 20% movement speed, so we're up to 65. Go over to the red side, and you've got Celerity, that's another 10%, so we're up to 75%. The last thing is Swift, right? So with, like, just as an example, Blue Swift gives you 15% more, and that takes you up to 190%. And then, if you want to go further, you can use the Steed Mundus Stone as well. That gives you another 10%, and that will take you to cap. If you don't have Swift Jewelry, or if you don't want to use the Steed Mundus, I suppose you could make a case for Marauder's Haste instead of one of the other sets of these, for example, Robe of the Depth. I suppose you could make a case for increased... Also, Wood Elves. Wood Elves get 5% more. So Wood Elf with all that stuff there would be 195% with Swift. And then if you get Purple Swift Jewelry, it goes up an extra 3%. That's 198%. If you get Gold, it goes up to 200%, the max speed cap. So yeah, you kind of don't need it. But yeah, like that's specifics and just going to the absolute maximum. It's okay to use, but again, should you buy this gold jewelry instead of just using like blue or green stuff for like way cheaper? No, just buy the way cheaper stuff if you do want to use this set. Okay, I'm done here for now. That's Golden Vendor done. Dailies are done as well. So if you have any questions for me about any of the stuff I talk about here, or if you want to add some insights on your own, please just chuck some stuff in the comments. So thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for your support as always. I'll see you next time. Take care for now.